AfriNIC is the Internet Numbers Registry for Africa. It plays an important role for the Internet community, not just in Africa, but across the world. And as such, AfriNIC plays an important role in ICANN and other global Internet bodies. Some of the issues AfriNIC is addressing include IPv6 deployment, cross-border connectivity, and promotion of Internet exchange points. Alan Barrett, CEO AfriNIC, joins us to discuss some of these issues.
Can you explain the work that AfriNIC does?
AfriNIC is an organization that manages the allocation of IP addresses, internet addresses, throughout Africa. And that's the reason we exist. But our role is also to encourage internet development and to support internet development throughout Africa.
And what are some of the ways you're doing that?
Through training and holding conferences such as this one. We have 2 conferences a year. We train more than 500 people every year in internet technologies.
So who belongs to AfriNIC? How does one become a member?
Our members are mostly internet service providers and some larger businesses, but small businesses can also join, although usually they don't. We have about 1,500 members from all over Africa.
So why do you think the small businesses don't join?
Well, they could. There's no barrier to that. But the small businesses often find that it's enough for them to get IP addresses from their internet service provider, whereas the larger businesses are more likely to want to be independent. So if they join AfriNIC, they can receive IP addresses which are for them instead of for the internet service provider. It gives them some freedom.
If I'm a business owner, what are the benefits of owning my own IP address?
2 big benefits. One is that you can receive as much as you need from AfriNIC, whereas if you're trying to get IP addresses from your service provider, they might not have enough to provide what you want or what you need. And the second benefit is the freedom to change internet service providers in the future while still keeping the same IP addresses.
Is it expensive to own your own IP address?
No, I think the prices are fairly reasonable. AfriNIC charges an annual membership fee depending on the size of the organization, and the smallest fees today are in the region of about $200 per year for the smallest end-user organizations.
Take us through some of the ways that AfriNIC is helping to deepen internet penetration in Africa.
We encourage the development of internet exchange points, which are locations where multiple internet service providers in the same country can all join together and share traffic so that the traffic from one can go to another one, staying inside the country, which is very important for performance and also costs. In the past, it would often happen that traffic between 2 internet service providers in the same country would have to go to Europe or the US, and that is very expensive. Whereas internet exchange points allows you to keep that traffic in the country, which improves performance and costs much less. So that's the one thing. Another thing AfriNIC does is training. We have a training team that goes all over Africa, giving more than 20 training courses every year. We mostly focusing on IP version 6, which is a new version of the internet protocol. And also we have training courses on how to manage your IP addresses, how to interact with AfriNIC. And then another thing we do is we have a fund called the FIRE program, the Fund for Internet Research and Education. We receive grants from big donors and we redistribute them in smaller grants to help projects throughout Africa which are doing good things in technical innovation or for social development, and sometimes for things like bringing internet access to rural communities which are not well served by the traditional ISPs.
How do one get access to that fund?
About once a year we put out a call for proposals, and so if you're running a project, maybe developing software or some kind of a health or project or technical project, you submit an application with details of what your project is doing, and we receive very many applications. Recently we received hundreds of applications for only about 10 grants. So it's a difficult job to choose the best.
Would that be done on your website?
Yes, on the AfriNIC website. Every year when it's time for a call for proposals, we will publish a call. And also the FIRE program has its own website, which you can reach from the AfriNIC website.
What are some of the benefits if Africa decides to fully deploy IPv6?
The main benefit is to be in line with what's happening in the rest of the world. If a web server has IPv6 only and does not have IP version 4, and the user trying to access it has IP version 4 only and does not have IP version 6, they cannot communicate. So the web browser will not be able to fetch pages from the web server. You need some common protocol to do that. So either they must both have version 6 or they must both have version 4. And in the past, we only had IP version 4. In the future, in the far future, I'm talking now more than 10 years, we will have only IP version 6. But during the in-between phase, people need to have both. You simultaneously deploy both IP version 4 and IP version 6 so that you can cater for both sides of the equation.
Do end users have to be worried about all this?
No, end users don't need to worry about this at all. Some end users will care enough to ask their ISP, when are you going to deploy IPv6? But for most end users, there's no worry at all. The phone which you carry in your pocket will support IP version 6 as soon as your mobile operator turns it on. The computer at your desk in your office will support IP version 6 as soon as your office IT department turns it on. So no need for end users to worry.
IPv6, is AfriNIC satisfied with the level of deployment now?
For a long time, the internet has been working on a protocol called IP version 4, which does not have enough address space for the whole world. And so in the 1990s, IP version 6 was developed, but it's still not fully deployed. And Africa is behind other parts of the world. And AfriNIC is trying very hard to encourage the deployment of IP version 6. Unfortunately, the two do not interoperate. If one side has IP version 6 and the other side has IP version 4, you cannot really talk to each other. It's necessary for both sides to have the same version, and in the future that will be version 6.
As the CEO of AfriNIC, are you satisfied with how Africans are using the internet today?
I think Africans use the internet today in very many ways, and there's always room for more use. Data is still very expensive. The cost of access is very high. I would love to see more competition. So if you have competition between service providers, that drives the costs down, drives the prices down, and that in turn encourages more usage, make it easier for users to connect.
Finally, Alan, do you think that disruption that is coming would affect AfriNIC's operation in any way? I ask because the ISPs are suffering from the new things like WhatsApp and the rest of them. What do you think?
The new services like WhatsApp, I think they are good news for internet service providers, although they may be bad news for mobile operators who are possibly losing voice minutes or SMS message charges. I don't think it affects AfriNIC at all. Our users are mostly ISPs or end users who are very happy to use the internet even more.
All right, thank you for being on Tech Trends today.
Thank you. Thank you.
Africa has every opportunity to catch up with the rest of the world in terms of technology adoption and application, but her leaders will have to realize the fact that more investments are necessary to achieve this. That's it for our show today. Please follow us on social media. Remember, you can watch these and previous editions of the show on the Channels TV YouTube account or via my blog cfatech.ng. For Tech Trends, I'm Chukwemeka Agbata.